Okay, here we are. All right, just so everyone knows out there, it's just after midnight. It's 12:11 a.m.
Yes, I've got a cup of coffee right here, Nick. It's cold right now. Actually, it's left over from earlier today. But Nick, I got to be honest. I'm not doing that well right now. I'm a little bit frustrated.
Why, Kev? Why are you frustrated?
I'm excited about Big Brother, but here's the thing. I started thinking today about the amount of times over the course of the summer that I'm going to have to say the word freakazoid, and I'm not happy about that. The show goes till September 21st. I'm going to have to say this word probably 100 times because 4 people got together and decided they would name their team this terrible name.
Don't worry, brother. Look, I'll tell you, just like all the other people out there, names for alliances, don't count on them lasting too long. Like, I thought the moving company we weren't even talking about until the very last, the last 5 weeks.
I got emotional, Nick, when Glenn was leaving the house and he teared up and he said, "Take it down, freakazoids, take it down." I mean, if that doesn't melt your heart, Nick, I don't know what will. But we're excited to be back. Thank you to everybody that watched here these past shows. And Nick, you actually have been extremely busy. You haven't even seen this past episode 3. You haven't seen it.
I got to be honest with everybody out there. So huge fan, love talking about it. I went to Denver to speak for some Wikipedia stuff about STEM education. I've been traveling here. I just got accepted into the YouTube Next Up thing. So like that's happening this week. Thank you. Hey, while I was in Denver and I was speaking on the panel, I asked if there were any Big Brother fans in the house, and there was one guy in the back like, woo! And so we ended up like talking about the season. But yeah, so I haven't seen it. So this is going to be like...
Well, then I'm going to be the one to break the news to you. So here's where we are right now. We've got Nicole as the HOH. She put up, so basically we've got 3 people on the block, and I'm going to tell you why there's 3 people. So she's got, she has Jose, she has Paul up on the block, and Nick, you should probably, well, you're already sitting down for this, but they're bringing back a challenge called the BB Roadkill Challenge. So essentially each week, all the house guests are going to get a chance to participate in this challenge, and the winner can secretly nominate somebody else to be on the block. Does it sound like the Big Brother MVP? I knew this would.
No, absolutely not. Like, did Big Brother not learn this is the worst thing to do ever?
I knew it was going to touch a nerve with you. I knew you were not going to.
I just want to like.
Where are you pulling all these things at your place from? Was that a pink potato bag clip, right?
It was. So, gosh, no, they can't do this because let me explain to you why they can't do this. All the good players go out early because if you don't know who's targeting you, you can't target them back. It's like it creates too much of a power imbalance in the house. This is such a bad idea. I hope this one tanks as much as what was the other one? The one they did last year? The craziest summer ever.
It's always the twistiest twister of the twisty twist. So I'm sure there's going to be plenty more things happening. But yeah, I'm not happy about it either. I like accountability on this show. I like when you look at somebody in the face and you nominate them or send them home. None of these back channels, backstabbing with no accountability. Yeah, I'm not happy about it either.
When you're falling forward, you know who backstabbed you, so you could shout the name in glory as you hit the ground, and so other people can align. Yeah, man, it like takes away from the element of plotting, right? It's like if you don't know who's nominating you, you can't come up with good strategy because you don't know who it is. It's just like, oh, and you're evicted. What? Like, I don't, how do you? And, okay, but I did watch. I did know that Glenn went out.
Rest in peace, Glenn.
I mean, we all knew this was going to happen. We called it, dude. We called it.
Nick, half of the episode was Glenn trying to get on the rocket. So at that point, the first 2 or 3 times that he was struggling to get on the rocket, I'm like, he's going to get it. He's going to get it. And then 5 minutes later, when Glenn finally gets on, I knew he was doomed, unfortunately, Nick. But
watching him in the his consulting effort, right? He's like, no, you're doing it wrong, right? For when they're making this castle thing, I was like, yeah, you're gonna have to be a little more I knew in the last comp. I just knew it, dude. I knew it.
He's gonna have the same experience we are this summer, Nick, which is viewing Big Brother from outside of the house.
No.
Now, should we get into some of our best and worst here of this first week of Big Brother? We've got plenty to talk about, plenty to say. Do you want to start with the best? Do you want me to start with one of the best?
I'm gonna go with one of the worst, dude.
Ooh, right one of the worst. Okay.
Yeah, here we go. So one of the worst is that Julie and the CBS cast or the CBS production crew has made this summer so astronomically confusing, right? Like it's like on day one, we will have a competition of competitions. The algorithm of the person who figures out the last, not the first, becomes the head of household, who then competes in a third round after they compete in that round. And you're just like, everyone's like, I'm gonna, I'm just gonna try to not get evicted. How about that?
You know what?
Zero strategy.
I'm going to check the credits. I DVR'd the show. I wonder if Dan Brown, the author of the Da Vinci Code, could be a guest writer on this show here. Because, yeah, it is super confusing. We need to, like, cliff notes and get a scroll and get a flow chart and everything to figure out what's going on. It's twist upon twist upon twist. I absolutely agree with you. I have a worst as well, Nick.
Go on, guys.
I'm gonna throw out this. Big Brother is going very hard, and they're selling a ton of skin here this summer. Have you noticed this? Like every single competition, they're like, why are they in their bathing suit? Let's put them in the bathing suit. They had a competition here today on this episode, Nick, that was literally called like Take It Off or something like that. They basically are just stripping house guests down, and I'm feeling like they're borrowing something from the Discovery show Naked and Afraid. Like pretty soon, by the end of the summer, it's just going to be Naked and Paranoid. They're going to have stripped all the clothing off the house guests.
Naked and Paranoid is a great title, by the way. I think we should trademark that. Like you heard it here first, people. I agree with you, man. I don't understand. It's like, no, I get the sex appeal, right? It's like summer and it's like it's hot in the valley, right? Like I totally get it. But yeah, like there was one the comp where they built the blocks, right? Like I was like, nobody needs to. What are they? Why? No, this is like I don't understand. But I would have to say the first competition with the rocket where people had to like duck their nose into other people's butts. Like I was like, yeah, man, like this is how dogs get to know each other, right? Like they stick their nose like directly into the other person's anus, and time's of the essence.
They all became very well acquainted with each other there. And I'm thinking if it continues like this too, you may see the first alliance that's purely built on them cleansing. You might, because everybody's worried this summer about their summer bodies if they're going to be stripped naked by CBS. So that's one of my worst.
Pink eye and ringworm. That's what that should be the new alliance name. Yeah. The pink eyes and the ringworms.
I like it.
Much better than the Freakazoids.
Yeah.
So okay, I have a worst.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, here we go. So, immediately upon arrival, you would think Devon would have perhaps learned a thing or two. Nope. Immediately back to Devon, crying about everything, crying when she's happy, crying when she's sad, bossing Paul around. It's just like right back to where we started. It was, and when she came in too, she said, "You know what? I'm gonna play this game totally different. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, and I'm not gonna say anything until I have to." Immediately crush that role. Immediately.
And she's fun. Like I almost wish Devon could narrate my life. Like she's pretty interesting with all her diary room things she says. But like another thing about her, she seems to think that God is watching CBS's product Big Brother this summer. I hope God is not watching this show. I hope he's got better things to do out there in the world. God's not watching and seeing which freakazoid is going to be the like HOH. God is not watching Glenn pulling for Glenn, putting the coconuts on it. Like, Devon, I'm sorry. I'm a fan of yours. You're fun. But God's not that invested in what's happening on Big Brother here this summer.
Hey, but he might be if they showed more skin, So
that's right.
Maybe it's they're trying to.
So I have another worst moment here of this first week, and it's in a word, Jose. I mean, like what is he doing, Nick? What is he doing? First, he calls himself the Messiah of the newbies. And this is like
it's actually it's really God actually speaking through the Messiah. You didn't see it, really. He has spoken.
So he calls himself the Messiah of the newbies, and then for some reason he decides he's going to openly target the first HOH, and then he's shocked that he's put up on the block, and he's so cocky. I called this too, Nick, about
you
did.
I didn't know that. That's horrible. That's like and in many ways I feel like I adopted him into my go forth and do good in Big Brother, and like obviously now that I've heard this news, that's not good, man. That's like not good gameplay. I mean, if you're gonna target someone right out of the hole, at least wait till like week 5, right, or 6, when there's like already divided lines.
Don't pick the first HOH. Like always, every single season, the first person to leave is the person that makes themselves a target. So if you stand up, point at the HOH, and say, I'm coming for you, don't be surprised if you're nominated.
Hashtag worst strategy ever.
Not good. Not
it's good. Like, the guy with all the power, you're going down, bud. You're going down. Probably have you nominated anybody yet? Because if you have, don't choose me. But you're going down.
He did say that he's the heart and joy of the house, Nick. So I'm sure he's going to be sticking around a long time this summer.
Well, speaking of Jose, let's talk about who's going home this week. We're going to be doing, as always, as we did last year, our lawyer up.
Yeah, so here's the problem. I have to take my headphones off, Nick. Should we get our ties on here or what?
Let's do this. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and just on right over top, dude.
So,
and as you can see, my amazing tie skills. I wear a tie frequently.
4th of July tie right here, scoring some points with the jury. That's how we do it. So we have 3 people on the block right now. We've got Paul, Paulie, and we've got Jose. I don't think Paulie is going home. So why don't we choose between Paul and between Jose? And you, Nick, will be the lawyer for one. I'll be the lawyer for the other, arguing why they should stay in the house and not go home.
And we're doing this, Kev, because the speeches that they give are pretty poor, and so if there could be a lawyer in the house, which could be another twist, by the way. I mean, this would be a great twist.
Yeah,
just added on another all the twist. But we feel like they do such a poor job. You know what I mean? Like they say things like, "Well, I think you should. I'm a fierce player. I'm strong in the house." All things you don't want to say, right? That's like being convicted of murder and being like, "Well, I'm aggressive. I take people out. I have like bits of rage, so I'm clearly innocent."
Nick, I've got to ask you, what is going on with your tie over there? Did you? It looks like a scarf or what's going on there?
It's more like a noose. Okay, like it's almost 12:30, man. I mean, you think
tons of credibility with the jury and the judge. So do you want to argue for Paul or Jose to stay in the house?
Okay, so because I had Paul as the first evicted, and I think his strategy is horrendous, I'm going to go ahead and take Paul because I like to make things interesting, right? So like you'd think that I would go with Jose because I want him to stay in the house. I already have him in my top 5. Like, what was I thinking? But anyways, I'm going to take Paul.
I'll present my opening arguments.
To the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen of the voting jury, my client is clearly a moron. All right, don't evict him because he's a moron. He's calling himself the Messiah of the newbies. Does that sound like somebody that is a threat to you? Does that sound like somebody that is going to have good gameplay consistently throughout the summer? He's calling himself the heart and the joy of the house. He says he reads faces and he's always right. My client is not a threat for you. My client, I'm not even sure he realizes he's playing Big Brother, Nick. He needs to stay in the house.
Are you doing a plea of insanity? Is that what you're doing right here?
It's basically what I'm doing. He needs to stay in the house because he is always going to be a bigger target than you. So leave him in the house.
Objection. I have a bigger target in the house. Okay. So I have a guy that rubs somebody the wrong way all the time from beginning to noon to night. We have someone who is the most acerbic, the most coarse, the most argumentative person in the entire house. Merely looking at the guy makes you irritated. His beard is unkempt. He has tattoos all over the place. He just feels like he's out of place. You know what I mean? And for this reason, I suggest that he is someone that's going to be targeted week after week after week. Therefore, members of the jury, you definitely want to keep Paul in the house because we know that he will be the ultimate pawn for the reason that he could go home at the drop of a hat any week unless they do this road rage kill thing, and then that would be
objection here, Nick. As much as I appreciate your tying ability, your argument, this is the issue I have with your argument. If you're a newbie, you're always going to be behind my client, Jose, in terms of the pecking order. He's made it very clear that he is going after the returning players. Anytime a returning player is in power, they're always going to target Jose before they target you. So you need to leave him in the house, keep a big target in the house, and you don't want to vote out your Messiah. What if he is the Messiah? I'm not saying he is. What if he is? All right, we don't know this for sure. He may be. Leave him in the house because on the off chance he is the Messiah, you do not want that rage coming at you.
Your Honor, closing statements. If he is in fact the Messiah upon his self-proclamation, this is not somebody that you want in the house due to all power encompassing of the universe and the Lord himself. So please, evict Josiah and keep Paul, for Paul is an easy target and will always be an easy target, and he'll make your game that much easier for you to finish in the final two.
In closing, I understood a lot of those words, but when they were used together in a sentence, I got a little confused as to what you were referring to.
Hey, look, I'm just like a house guest, right? We say words, we don't sentences. It just doesn't matter. Smooth as ice, bro. Smooth as ice.
I will tell you right now, this is not a cheap trick, but if you keep my client Jose in the house, he's planning on walking on water in the pool here the day after eviction. So keep him in the house if you want to see that cool party trick. Keep Jose in the house, evict Paul. Thank you very much.
Well, and just to riff on that a little bit, Kev, you get allotted actually how many beers there are for the house. So if he is in fact the Messiah, he could turn all the water into wine. That's right. And then it would totally solve this problem. So that's right. You know what? Now that I think about it, maybe you should keep him in the house. That's a pretty good idea.
Should we give our predictions, Nick, as to who this leaving our lawyer up? Should we give our predictions as to who we think is going to be leaving the house here?
I think we should, Kev. I think we should. For all the people out there who gamble and place bets on Big Brother, I'm going to go ahead and give my professional consulting advice. And I'm actually going to say, against my own will, I think Jose is going to go home.
And I'm going to give my unprofessional, non-consulting advice, and I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to say Jose's days are numbered. He's made himself too big of a target. Unfortunately, my pleas, Nick, are going to fall on deaf ears, and the house guests are going to evict Jose. He's going to be the second house guest that leaves this summer.
I will say this, and I'm gonna add a little bit of insight as a Big Brother house guest. When a returning family member comes back, they get like a halo that gets put over them from production. So I'm already counting out Paulie. Paul, I think, has just said a few enough words to not make him the ultimate target, from what it sounds like. And I would say that Jose, for his reasoning and his justification of being as confident as he is, I'm sure that is being read by the house guests as just the one reason to send him out the door, right? You only need one.
Yep.
And if that's the one, he's got it.
Nick, can I take this opportunity to share a couple things I learned here this past episode?
You may.
One, Paulie might give some of the most incredible nomination hugs that I've ever seen. His hugs, Nick, you've got to watch these. We're averaging about 10 seconds. Like, there was back exploring, there was neck sniffing. I mean, these hugs were hugs I've never seen before. I've heard about these hugs, but I've never seen them. You need to watch this. He's like a professional hugger. It was awkward for me, and I wasn't being hugged by him. So that's the first thing I learned. The second thing that I learned, I don't know if you know this, but right at the end of the episode, it was commercial time. I saw the Verizon guy come up on screen. The "Can you hear me now" guy. He's doing commercials for Sprint now, Nick. Did you know this? I've never heard about this before. Like a huge spokesperson crossing over.
It's called playing Big Brother in real life, you know? So it's like backstabbing your employer, right? It's like, you think I'm on your team, but actually I'm not.
Man. Yeah, who knows? Maybe Verizon will pick Glenn up and we'll have Glenn doing spots over the summer. Who knows? Maybe he will return.
As a dog groomer, yes. That's very likely. Very likely. Yeah. Kev, where can we find you on the internet?
On the internet, I am at KevSoup, and KevSoup.com is the website. Again, as always, thank you all for watching. We're going to be doing these videos weekly, sharing our thoughts, and having a great time this whole summer, Nick.
Absolutely. I want to say thank you guys for watching our first episode. It got quite a lot of views. I'm really excited about that. Kev and I are going to be doing these every week. I will be more prepared. I got to give you my word. I'll be watching more Big Brother than I have this last week. But I will always offer my insight because I love the game. I love talking about it. I love everything that has to offer it. And plus, I'm always glued to my Twitter. So definitely hit me up on Twitter at Nick Uhas. And don't forget to subscribe because we have new videos every week. See you guys in about 7 days.
See you guys soon.